So you're telling me that Bonnie was doing Gear Third before Gear Third was cool? One Piece Chapter 1101 dropped today, and not only does it continue yet again single-handedly the most important flashback we've gotten to date, but it also reveals a lot in terms of personality and motives to other characters besides Kuma himself. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean one Monkey D. Dragon, who previously was in a tight-knit race tied with Yasopp for the biggest deadbeat in the verse. But thanks to this chapter, the agenda of Deadbeat Dragon has been put to bed. We start with Kuma spying on Luffy, training his Devil Fruit powers in Fuchsia Village, to where Luffy is completing his quote-unquote finishing move for super strong guys. The move in question is the Gomu Gomu no Battle Axe, which funnily enough is the move he used to defeat Arlong. Kuma mentions this to Dragon, how he's noticed how he's familiar with this island itself, and found a village with a young boy. Before Kuma can even finish what he's saying, Dragon stops him and gives him one of two statements.
What do you mean by that?
Now I say one of two statements because when the spoilers came out, Dragon had threatened Kuma's life if he kept talking. Whereas in the scans, Dragon says if he continues, he might as well kill him himself because quote unquote, a child is a parent's weak spot.
Really makes you think.
Now I personally find this one to make more sense, but in the end, no matter which one you choose, both have the same outcome, with Dragon pretty much saying Luffy is the off-limits zone, which shows to a degree that Dragon, if it be life or death for Luffy, would drop everything he's doing to save his son, which he's done in the past with Logjam. And given him stating a child is a parent's weak spot, it's probably him insinuating that he would most likely be very emotionally charged if anything was to happen to Luffy. It could also imply the opposite way, that if the enemy would have Luffy as leverage, it would cause Dragon to think irrationally and most likely out of character, therefore giving the opposition the advantage. So we can easily infer from this that when it comes to anyone mentioning Luffy, seeing Luffy's bounty, or anything positive, negative to do with Luffy, Dragon wears a pretty giant poker face. So he's not just showing any glaring weaknesses when it comes to his feelings for his own son. And that's honestly really solid development for Dragon, to say the least.
Nice.
And now Yasopp has easily pulled ahead of the pack for the deadbeat dad of the series. Congratulations to Yasopp, really well deserved. Now let's talk about the Dr. Vegapunk scenes. It's very short and very brief. Let's talk about that a little bit. Where Kuma's getting the final development being done, where he's going to lose his personality and individuality and all of that. We see that he's in Vegapunk's lab. Vegapunk at this point he's already sported the apple tops. Now most of his huge head's gone. Stussy's also here. Stussy's clone is actually also present. Which we get the nice little thing from Vegapunk where she mentions she's just a clone. Where Vegapunk tells her to knock it off, that she's just a human as the rest of everybody, which is pretty nice of Vegapunk. As someone of a man of science, he seems that he does take people's feelings into account. When Kuma asks what he's to expect with this, Vegapunk states, "You may have already have a reputation for being totally obedient. But what would you do if you were asked to kill a child?" What it means is you'll lose not only your memories, but any empathy or humanity holding you back from fulfilling such a command. That being said, you should retain some degree of free will until the process is fully complete. That'll give you roughly 1 more year. So we have 1 more year for Kuma in this flashback until his personality is completely gone. It's no more left. And to be fair, this is 3 years, I think, before the series takes place. Or is it 1? It's actually 1 year. 1 year. Yeah, I think it's 1 year.
You're an idiot.
To which Kuma responds by starting to write another letter. Now, he's wrote tons of these letters to Bonnie, a lot of letters to Bonnie. Bonnie's gotten 0 of these letters. Now, why is that? Because Alpha, the Khalifa lookalike that is part of this CP8, she's been gathering all these letters and tearing them up so Bonnie doesn't get any of them. So Bonnie has been waiting for years, up until at least where she's 9 years old, where we're at, wondering where are these letters from Kuma, wondering why he hasn't wrote letters. And the elders like Connie and Dogface have pretty much been saying, this isn't normal for Kuma. And Bonnie agrees. So thankfully, Bonnie doesn't think that her dad's up and abandoned her, that there's something more going on than what's really being told. Obviously, we know Alpha's not a good person. We see the dark side of her last chapter, and we see more of her near the end of this chapter. We do see some interesting things with Bonnie. When it comes to Bonnie, we see her skirmish with one of the is the typical village guy that she's been skirmishing with or beating up every now and then. We see a part where she's actually seems like she's very she's muscled up. Like she looks like Luffy in Gear 5 doing the muscle. Which is very odd because she has the age fruit, which is like, it should age her up and down, but why would it make her stronger? We get more into that later. We have a cunning plan from Bonnie and Connie. Since Bonnie can age herself to the point where she looks like Connie, Connie has the idea for Bonnie to age to the point where she looks similar to her. They switch out their clothes, and as looking like Connie, she walks by Alpha and says she's leaving. And, Alpha's just like, that's cool, whatever, I don't care. Until it's too late when Bonnie's pretty much on the ship waiting for her to get off the island to go find her father. And before we get to this, we do see that Bonnie is quote unquote taking some sort of medicine, and apparently she's been cured for years. No one's told her. So she really didn't have to wait until 10 years old. She's been cured for a while. And this medicine, quote unquote, Alpha's been giving her is just like lemon juice or something. So it's like a placebo effect, making her think it's working when it's not really doing anything. But getting the scene where Bonnie first finally goes outside for the first time while she's in her older form, it's such a nice little thing to read. How she's admiring everything, how there's so much dirt and grass, how she's looking at the sky and she finally sees the sun. And everyone's watching in the church going, wow, she's actually outside. This is awesome. So I'm going to say there's really a God. But Bonnie's rushing to her ship, which is their ship made it looks like pizza and all that good stuff. She's running towards it, and like near the tail end of her running towards this ship is when Alpha catches on. Alpha obviously chasing after Bonnie, so she's not leaving the village.
Get over here!
And Bonnie, at the end of the chapter,
Yeah. Sado.
uses an ability we've never seen her use, at least when it comes to her devil fruit. And this ability is called Distorted Future. She can choose a future where she's pretty much anything. She can ask her powers to give her an ability of a future where she's like I don't know what the limitations of it really are, but we do see here she says, give me a Nika-ish future, like where she's Nika, the sun god Nika. And all of a sudden she gets a Gear 3rd arm where she just bashes Alpha and takes her out instantly. It kind of coincides with the fruit because it's the age fruit, so it makes sense. But for a future where she's older, obviously, but has a certain power, maybe, I don't know. It's so weird. And she's off sorbet. She's on her own adventure, and it seems like this is the end of this is where Bonnie starts her adventure as a pirate, and eventually one of the supernovas. So that was the chapter. There's a break next week. We're not going to have a chapter, unfortunately. We're gonna have a little bit of breathing period. Odin's take some rest. But overall, the chapter very straightforward. Continuing the flashback yet again. Next chapter we get 2 weeks from now will probably be the same thing, which I'm not complaining. I think this flashback's been very important. It's fleshed out a lot of things when it comes to Kuma's backstory, along with things with the revolutionaries. It's been a very nice dive, seeing what's been going on behind the scenes before we even knew anything about this stuff. It's been pretty cool. And then Bonnie's distorted future ability is very interesting. Once again, what are the limitations of this ability? What can she do? What can't she do? She's obviously can make her arms bigger. We obviously in the fight she's having with the scuffle with one of the village guys. She can make herself huge and bulky. Is that distorted future? More than likely. We don't know. I'm assuming it is. She probably envisioned a world where she was like a weightlifter or something. I don't know. I'm sure it'll get delved on more once we get out of the flashback when Bonnie starts fighting somebody. But regardless, that was the chapter. Pacing was good. Art was good. I have no complaints about this chapter, really. And I'm looking forward to the next chapter we get in 2 weeks. To possibly get more info on what's going on. So overall, I'll give the chapter a rating of, I'll say it was a B. It was a good chapter. And that's it. I'm done. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to join the notification squad. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day.